Back in the chaos of World War II, when air raids shattered the night and entire cities were thrust into sudden darkness, people had to relearn how to live with almost nothing. Power lines went down, refrigerators stopped humming, supply chains collapsed overnight, and food spoiled faster than it could be eaten. Yet life didn't stop. Families still had children to feed, soldiers still needed rations, and resistance fighters needed reliable supplies that wouldn't rot before they returned from missions. Out of that pressure came one of the most remarkable forgotten survival innovations of the era. A silent, underground cooling system that kept food fresh without a single watt of electricity. It was simple. It was ingenious. And it still works astonishingly well today. The underground fridge was born not from luxury, but necessity. In many parts of Europe, electricity wasn't just unreliable. It was rationed, redirected to military use, or deliberately cut during air raids. What refrigeration existed before the war became useless during week-long blackouts. Cities like Leningrad, Warsaw and Rotterdam spent months without consistent power. Meanwhile, rural areas often had no refrigeration at all. Yet people needed a way to keep milk from souring, meat from spoiling, butter from melting, and vegetables from turning limp in the summer heat. So they looked to the ground beneath their feet, rediscovering a principle older than civilization itself. The earth maintains its own natural temperature. Just a meter below the surface, the soil stays cool, steady, and protected from the wild swings of surface weather. Even in warm climates, the underground temperature hovers between 10 and 15 degrees Celsius, ideal for slowing bacterial growth and preserving food. It doesn't freeze, it doesn't overheat, and it never needs repairs. That stability became a lifeline in the 1940s. People across Europe dug small pits, lined them with clay or brick, and created simple chambers to store perishables. These setups, sometimes called earth fridges or Zier chambers, became common in backyards, barns, and even hidden forest camps used by partisans. They weren't technological marvels. They were reminders that survival often means understanding nature instead of fighting it. The design was deceptively simple. A typical underground fridge started with a pit about 3 feet deep and 2 feet across. The walls were lined with clay, bricks, or tightly packed earth. The bottom was layered with sand or gravel to drain moisture. Inside the chamber, families placed clay jars, metal tins, or wrapped cuts of meat. Then came the cooling magic moist sand packed around the sides. As the water in the sand evaporated, it pulled heat away from the chamber, dropping the temperature even further. To keep air moving, small vents, often bamboo tubes or hollow reeds, were inserted to create natural airflow. Cooler air slipped in at the bottom, warmer air escaped through a vent near the top, and the cycle repeated endlessly. No fans, no power, just physics. Soldiers and resistance fighters took the technique even further. In Eastern Europe, underground fridges were disguised beneath trapdoors and covered with leaves to hide supplies from patrols. In France, dairy farmers stored butter and cheese this way when electricity was rationed or seized by occupying forces. And in the deserts of North Africa, Allied troops used porous clay pots with damp sand, a type of evaporative cooler, to keep water and fruit from overheating during long marches. Despite vastly different environments, the principle stayed the same. use the earth and air to do the work. Rebuilding one today is far easier than most people expect. All you need is a shaded area, a shovel, some clay or bricks, and a bit of patience. Choose a spot under a tree or along the north side of a building where the sun rarely hits. Dig your hole, line it, add drainage, and pack moist sand around the vessel where the food will sit. Add a simple airflow vent, cover the top with wood or a cloth-lined lid, and you've essentially recreated a wartime survival fridge that can outlast many modern coolers. When tested in warm climates, these clay underground fridges can hold temperatures around 12 degrees Celsius, even when the air outside climbs above 30. That's cool enough to keep vegetables fresh for days, dairy stable, and meat safe for short-term storage. Modern tests comparing this method to consumer coolers produce surprising results. After 48 hours of outdoor heat, the cooler had lost its cold because the ice melted, while the buried chamber remained stable, unaffected by sunlight or ambient temperature swings. The difference is simple. The cooler fights against nature, the underground fridge works with it. This forgotten innovation wasn't just about food preservation. It represented a mindset, resourcefulness under pressure, the ability to solve problems with whatever the environment provides. And that mindset is just as important today as it was 80 years ago. For preppers, off-grid builders, campers, homesteaders, and anyone interested in long-term resilience, this old wartime method offers true independence from electricity. It can become a stationary cooler at campsites, a backup fridge during power outages, or even a permanent root cellar alternative for storing produce. Urban dwellers can try a scaled version using 2 nested clay pots with wet sand between them, a classic Zir pot fridge that cools purely through evaporation. Rebuilding this system today connects us to a long chain of people who faced hardship and turned to the earth for answers. When you bury that chamber and feel the cool air rising from inside, you're experiencing the same simple power that helped families endure blackouts, bombings, and blockades. It's a reminder that the world's most effective survival tools aren't always the ones we plug in. Sometimes they're the ones we dig. If this inspires you, try building one. Test it. See how well it works in your climate. Subscribe to The Untold Battle and share it, because knowledge like this shouldn't disappear. It kept people alive once, and it can do the same again if we ever need it.